Hi all, I'm Al Deldegan, the creator and producer of the LIBI podcast. This 100% volunteer-run show was born out of the Rainforest Alberta movement and features incredible people who are leaders, innovators, and have big ideas. The host for this episode is Rea Hailley, co-founder of New Idea Machine. Her guest this week is Julie Cole. Rea, the mic is yours.
Thanks, Al. Today's guest is Julie Cole, co-founder of Mabel's Labels. Welcome to the LIBI podcast, Julie. I'm excited to learn about your journey and the business you've built.
I'm very excited to be here.
I love your energy. So tell me about you and who you are and how you got to where you are today.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll go into the Wayback Machine then. So yes, my name is Julie Cole. I am the co-founder of Mabel's Labels. And we started Mabel's Labels almost 23 years ago. Oh my goodness. And Mabel's Labels started for a couple of reasons. If you don't know what it is for your listeners, what we started with was one very simple product. And that was a dishwasher microwave safe label that was personalized. So parents could go online to mabelslabels.com, type in little Johnny Brown's name, pick a color, pick a little picture icon, and then we would make them and send them out. And then they would go on the bottles and the sippy cups and the wipes containers. So we started with this very simple idea. And the secret sauce was that it was durable because we found something missing from the marketplace. That was our why. Like, why did we start Mabel's Labels? Because there wasn't a durable label out there. There was masking tape. And there's nothing permanent about permanent marker. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing for me was I want to do a shift. I joke, I'm a recovered lawyer. At the time, my eldest child had turned 3 and was diagnosed with autism. And I wanted to have a little bit of flexibility that I didn't think the traditional workforce, well, I knew the traditional workforce probably wouldn't be able to provide. So that's where entrepreneurialism came in and wanting the flexibility. And I started the company with 3 other women. One's my sister and 2 are friends from university who ended up actually marrying my brother and my young uncle. So we're all related. And we were like, okay, let's do this thing. So we started with that one label. And then over the years, we've just progressed and we've got an incredible company. And it is just, we've rolled out over the 22 years, so many amazing products. But that's where it all started 22 years ago in a basement in Hamilton, Ontario.
That is so cool. And as I mentioned to you before, I use Mabel's Labels because my daughter would...
Well, kids lose things,
all
right?
the time.
We're like, it's a cheap insurance policy. Like, even as the kids get older and they've got the Stanley Cups and things like that, it's like, do you want to lose a $40, $50 cup? Not really.
Oh, I hear you. I so hear you. Yeah. I sent my daughter to school one year. Brand new jacket, brand new snow pants, and I hadn't gotten a chance to refresh my Mabel's Label supply. And she somehow lost her jacket, just completely misplaced it. And then, of course, I was quite upset about it. Like, what the heck? I just got you this jacket. Yeah. And then she went back to school and she said, I found my jacket. And she came home with the same jacket, but it wasn't hers. I'm like,
whoa. Did it have some other kid's name label
it
in it?
I was just like, no, that's not yours. She was quite young. But anyways, I don't know how you pulled that one off, but okay.
Yeah. So we do have so many great stories over the years. Like we'll have somebody who lost their goggles in the lake 5 years ago, then they find them and the Mabel's Labels is still on it. Or the kids who all go thrifting and then they bring home all their clothes and it's got other kids' Mabel's Labels. And it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. It's like free advertising for you.
Yeah, exactly.
That is so cool. All right. So now you said that you were a lawyer and then you dove into entrepreneurship. So what was that like? I know you had situation change with your son. Were you scared? Yeah. Were you do you miss being a lawyer?
It's a great question. So, I think the first thing was I was a little bit like, oh God, why did I go to school for so long? And now I make labels and change diapers, right? But the lesson in that is that, and I talk to young people about this all the time, is whatever you do, whatever path you take, it's not useless. It's going to be helpful. So yeah, do I need a legal degree to make labels? No, but it certainly comes in handy when you're, maybe wanting to send a cease and desist or putting together a shareholders agreement or just the way your brain works. So, it was fine. I did the shift, that's what happens. Sometimes you have kids and then best laid plans, right? Mm-hmm. So that was okay. And I think, those early challenges, I felt comfortable facing them. I had co-founders, and that was important because I had support, right? Like the four of us. It was very lonely in the entrepreneurial world back then, right? There were no podcasts to listen to. There were no like Facebook groups or LinkedIn. Like there was nothing. This is 22 years ago. And so a lot of entrepreneurs who were solo entrepreneurs really suffered alone, and it was a lonely slog. So for me, having, friends there who had the same goals and the same dreams, and we were all working towards the same thing was really great, like socially, but also from a business growth perspective. We were able to divide up the risk financially. We had 4 different brains at the table with lots of big ideas. And, we could divide and conquer. We could divide up the work. And I think that having that partnership group really led to some early growth and substantial growth. And it's not without its challenges. I mean, even people who have one co-founder, you have to make sure you're communicating regularly. You got to be, keeping each other in check and finding the fine line between, being entitled to information, but not micromanaging each other. So there's a lot to navigate, but it was a great experience for us.
I bet. Okay. Now, surely conflict must have come up. Like, how do you deal with conflict?
Sure. And I think, conflict doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? Like, I think it just has to be dealt with properly. And sometimes we didn't get it right. And then we would learn from it and do better the next time. And then we learned things like what are our communication styles? I'm very abrupt. I don't want to spend 20 minutes telling somebody they're great before I'm like, hey, we need to fix this. But sometimes you have to do that, right? So if you learn how other people receive information, then it can help you deliver your message in a more effective way. So we had to learn about each other. We had to learn about our different styles. We had to learn our trigger points, but also we had to make sure that we got some coaching and that we got mentors in, and we had people help facilitate hard conversations and that sort of thing. So I think it's important always to look for help, because if you're in constant conflict, it's not good for your business, and that's not good for anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So knowing what you know now, if you can go back in time, would you do anything differently?
I think what I might do is I might set up something like mandatory sessions. So I know I interviewed Jake Carls from Midday Squares on one of my LinkedIn Lives, and he started a company, Midday Squares, with his sister and her husband. And they have a weekly therapy session together. Ooh. Whether they think they need it or not, they have a weekly therapy session. And I think it's good because then, you can just get in front of stuff. Because, if your relationship's not working, it's not good for the business and it's not good for you, especially, for us as related people, and same with Jake and his sister. So I think that's something that's smart that they did from the very onset of their business. And if I were to start again, I'd probably do that so that we didn't have to go into recovery mode. We could be more proactive about making sure that, we were communicating properly and making the right decisions in the right way.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, it's very difficult navigating hurt feelings, right? So I tend to be a bit abrupt like yourself. I tend to say it like it is, but that doesn't always land well with everyone. And I know that. But right. Sometimes I just don't have the mental stamina to stop and think, and how does this person want to receive information? And I just end up being myself, which doesn't always land well.
And you know what? It's not, but at the same time, they also know, they learn about you, how you deliver information. So even now, I might send an email to somebody in the company and they might be like, oh, if it was from somebody else, I might be offended, but this is Julie. Yeah. And we know she doesn't mean anything. She just got a lot of shit to get done. So she's not gonna so they also know my style. So it goes all ways, right? Yeah. So that's really, really helpful.
That's incredible. So tell me about innovation. How do you guys innovate?
So I think there's a couple of things. For us, innovation was part of the brand because we created something that didn't exist, right? So we created a product that was missing from the marketplace. So that in itself meant we had to do a lot of research and testing. We had to do, I had materials sitting in my dishwasher for a year. We had to do a lot of that. And then also, from a tech standpoint, e-commerce wasn't that huge back then, right? So, and we weren't we weren't nerds, but we knew nerds. So we made sure we had friends who were nerds who could help us build our first website and that sort of thing. So we always were innovative in the fact that we kind of had to be. But then we really understood, but that's where the magic happens. Because of course, it's not long before somebody rips you off and they start imitating you or whatever. But what sets you apart in the marketplace is, being that market leader, being first out of the gate, remaining the most innovative, top quality, creating community. So we were very innovative in everything, like our marketing. We were the first company who was reaching out to mom bloggers and realizing like the way moms made their purchasing decisions was through trusting people, not through traditional advertising. We figured that out and then we went that route. So we were always sort of in front of things. Plus the innovation stuff is fun, right? And that's where we even have like different brains with the four of us. Like one of our co-founders was super entrepreneurial. And so she loved this stuff. So she was always coming to us saying, hey, we got to do this. And we'd be like, what? And then it was like, yeah, right. Yes, we do. And then from a company culture perspective, it was really important for us to create an innovative environment. And by doing that, you have to make sure you're not micromanaging people, which is hard for entrepreneurs. Like when we first hired our worker bees who made the labels and put them in envelopes, we were fine. But when you hire managers and you have to let go of the reins a bit, that can be where a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of founders get stuck. But if you stop micromanaging, that's where the magic and the innovation will happen. And you let them do that stuff. You also have to carve out space. So like for our IT team, they always have so much to do, but we're like, we need to bake in time for them to play, because that's where they're going to find better processes in the production facility, better experience for our customers on the website. If we let them nerd out and give them the time and freedom to do that, then we are going to benefit. And that's how you, by allowing for innovation, that's where it comes from, creating a culture of it. And then the other beautiful thing that happens from that is that you get a team that's very entrepreneurial. So because they've invested, because they're interested, because they've got skin in the game and, they've found new ways of doing things, they feel ownership of that. And when they're entrepreneurial, that's really great for your business culturally and for your bottom line.
It is. So give me an example of how you inject fun into your various departments.
Yeah, I think first would be by not micromanaging them, letting them be grown-ups, baking in that time. But also for us, for many years, we even had an innovative workplace. So we didn't care if people came and sat at their desk from 9 to 5. We were focused on productivity and goals. Let's face it, we started this business, us moms, like doing weird things at weird hours. I always said I was doing play dates and business plans at the same time, going on school trips and then hanging out on my laptop till midnight, whatever. Yeah. But we knew we could be very productive. So why not extend that? What we needed to do was make sure we were productive and that everyone was meeting goals. But did I care where they were doing this? No. So we created this place where people felt like work wasn't a drag. They weren't, again, being micromanaged. They could come and go as they please. They could be most effective in the areas they're most effective. Like, think about even people who might be like a little neurospicy. Like maybe working from home is where they're most productive. Why would we drag them into the office every day? Why would we do that to somebody who's a good employee and that's not their place to shine? Let them work from home. So I do think it's also, inclusive. And, for us, creating that really helped us in our bottom line. And to your point, like innovation is fun. And I think of a good example as being when the COVID hit and everybody, like all these companies, everybody was sent home. Nobody knew what to do. And we were already operating like everybody like could work from home. I mean, obviously, our label makers have to come to the office. But if, somebody wanted to go in on a Sunday and get all the orders ready, so printed so that we could just pack them on Monday, go for it. Like, I don't care if it works for the team member, if it works for their team, and if it works for the company, go for it, right? So while we watched all these other companies scrambling about how they're going to manage this work from home stuff, we were just like, business as usual. All our people know how to do this. And also they're happy at work, which is good for retention.
Yes.
Which is good because then we're not paying for a lot of people like coming and going. You know, hires are expensive. But then what was cool too was that one of our team members, I think it was maybe our IT manager, put together Team Now. I think he called it Team Now. And he pulled in a few people and he's like, okay, we're going to lose our camp season. Kids aren't going to be going to camp. So what are we going to do instead? Okay, well, you know what we can do? We can make big round stickers that say stand 6 feet apart. You're right, we can. So then we started marketing those. What else could we do? Well, our brand has a lot of trust. Let's connect with a company who can make high quality face masks with our icons on, and they can buy them from our websites because our brand trust is so high, people bought them. So we were able to pivot, and that was the team taking Team Now, you know, running with that. And that sort of innovation's fun.
Yes. Yes, it is. That's so brilliant. Okay. So now I know, Julie, you've been on lots of podcasts, and I'm sure that there's one question that maybe no one has asked you. What would that be?
What would be the question no one's asked me? Oh, that's a good one. I can't think off the top of my head. What question are you dying to ask me?
The previous series I had last year, I would ask people, what are people most surprised to know about you?
Okay, well, that's a bit of fun. Okay, so, I mean, on a personal level, I think people are usually like, what? 6 kids? What the were you thinking? Why? You know, people want to know why. And honestly, I think I can say the why there is that, again, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And I think I don't have the I'm done gene. Like all my friends are like, you know when you're done. And I never got that. Daddy-o never got that. Eventually, I just got too old. And I actually had 6 C-sections as well, which is quite unusual. Yeah. So eventually, you know, we called it a day at 6. But, you know, I'm just that personality where, you know, it was fine. Like it was fine. You know, I think everybody just needs to know your limit, live within it. Like people are like, well, how do you have me time? I'm like, I don't. And if you need me time, take it. But don't start a business and have 6 kids, you know, like that's, I think it's just so important to know yourself. Like these kids have never, I've never gone into my bedroom, shut the door and cried. They've never driven me that crazy like that. I'm just, you know, that kind of chill about stuff like that. Yeah. Right. So it means I was kind of built for that. And that's why I was able to manage all this, but it's not normal. And I didn't sleep much and all of that jazz, but it doesn't make me a superhero. It's just, we're all different, right? Like we're just all different. And you know, when people are like, well, you're so brave and those kids, and I'm like, hey, let's just wait and see how they turn out before we get too excited about it. But it's been a lot of fun. And another thing that's been interesting is raising a family and raising a business at the same time. And the parallels, Rea, like, honestly, it's wild.
Really?
Like, I feel like, unbelievable. Like, you know, I think, you think you understand the baby toddler stage and then suddenly you got school age. Just like you think you know what to do when you're, you know, doing $1 million a year in sales. Suddenly you're doing 5 million in sales and you don't know anything about HR and you have to make hires. So like, soon as you think you're comfortable, you're not. Mm-hmm. You know, you're always learning. You're always having to be innovative. You're always having to switch your thinking. And all the growth happens when you're like taking the risks and in that zone of uncomfortableness. Yeah. Even with kids.
Yeah. No kidding. I can't imagine. I have one child and I struggled, and parenthood didn't come naturally to me like it did to you.
And it doesn't to everyone. Yeah. And it doesn't. And that's the thing. And that's okay. You know, like it doesn't. And that's it. You're, you know, it doesn't mean one's a better, like there's no perfect amount of kids. Like one and done is awesome. And, you know, people have different experiences too. Like I never had any postnatal, like mental health stuff. I never threw up.
Wow.
I never had a colicky baby. I never had to walk pace with a baby. Like I had some things that made it, you know, doable. I have a mom who lives down the road who helps me.
Nice.
You know, so there are things like that. And even with the business, you know, I do feel like there's a level of privilege that comes along. People are like, oh, you're so brave. And again, it's like, well, you know, I don't know. Like I had a good education. I have two very regulated parents who raised us to know that we were smart and capable and sent us off to school. And, you know, I had enough, you know, Daddy-o made enough that I could actually drop out of the workforce to give this a go. That is actually a lot of privilege, right? And people forget about that. And I feel like it's something entrepreneurs don't talk enough about. They're just like, yeah, we're the best. It's like, you'll impress me if you're like, single mom with 2 jobs and then you start Mabel's Labels on your own. That's the hero.
Yes. And there are a lot of moms out there starting businesses, right? Because they need to, because like the workforce just is not accommodating enough for them. And my heart goes out to them.
Absolutely. We see women starting businesses. Also, I mean, we're creative, right? And we see problems and we're problem solvers and we're connectors. And, this is something, women are starting businesses at twice the rate of men, but we're still getting less than 2% of the venture capitalist funding. Yes. And we're still, only like 4% of all women-owned businesses are doing $1 million a year. And like when they exit, they're not doing millions like we're seeing. So, we need to work this chain. We need to get more women in, it's systemic, right? We need more women to be in higher paid jobs, to be in C-suite so that they have money to invest in women. And because that's what you see when women sell their companies for millions, they put it right back into women-owned businesses. Yes. You see that all the time, right? So we need, men to start doing that. We need, we need to still like fight for change.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, I wish it was different, but we're getting there slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely, there's work to be done.
Yes. So what advice would you give to another entrepreneur who's maybe just starting out?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things. I would say one would be you've got to know what your appetite for risk is. If you're a bit of a risk adverse person, it might be a bit much, right? I think, because there's times where you just like, it can be feast or famine, especially in those early days. And I think people romanticize entrepreneurship. They think it's going to be all TED Talks and book deals and things like that. And it looks a lot like making labels in a basement till 2 a.m. when you're pregnant with your 4th child. So it does tend to get romanticized. So I would say, like, my advice would be manage your expectations. If you have a family, manage theirs too. You are going to do without holidays. You're not going to get the new car. You're not going to put the kids to bed, grab a glass of wine, throw on Netflix at 8 o'clock. You're going to be in a basement making something or on your laptop or doing something, inventing your app, creating your app, whatever it is. And yes, you'll have some flexibility, but your flexibility won't get your work done for you. So you will be able to go, I always say, to the apple orchard on the kindergarten trip, but you will be hovering over your laptop at midnight. So I think you need to know what it's really going to look like. And whoever is in your personal life also has to be on board, or either that won't work or the business won't work.
Yeah. And I'm sure like you had similar experience, but I find that I'm working more now as an entrepreneur than I have ever worked in my entire life.
I know. And honestly, you hear entrepreneurs say it all the time. Like, I'd rather work 100 hours a week for myself than 40 hours a week for somebody else. And, it is hard because like people also think, it'll be so great. I'll be an entrepreneur. I'll own my own business and I won't have a boss. And I'm like, I have so many bosses, my co-founders, my customers, the team, my suppliers. Like, you end up with way more bosses than just the one, right? So you're accountable to a lot of people. And the other thing I think that really hits, I think particularly women, because I think we make a lot of decisions in the home. Well, we do. I mean, there's still a care gap. We're still doing the heavy lifting at home, still the default parent. And so there's a lot of decision fatigue that happens there. And then when you're an entrepreneur, you're making decisions all the time. So if making decisions is a tough thing for you to do, this can be tricky.
Yes.
And the decision fatigue is real. You're just like, I don't mind making dinner. Just somebody tell me what to make.
Yes.
It's like those things, like making those decisions, it's exhausting.
It is.
All the time.
It is. I know. I was just talking to my husband about it this morning. I'm like, I just, for the life of me, cannot figure out what to make for dinner. And I've done it before, but it's like something in my brain is broken and I just can't do it.
But you know what? I'll tell you what too, and maybe this, Rea, is how I was able to kind of do these things, is I always would have a problem like that and then come up with a strategy. So I sat down with the kids, I think maybe they were school age, a few of them anyway at the time, and we did a 4-week meal plan. And then it was like, and I didn't have 6 people saying, what's for dinner? I'd be like, go to Tuesday, week 2. And it was, and it would depend on if like Wednesday was hockey night and dance night or whatever. Wednesday might be breakfast for dinner, or it might be whatever. But it would be our easy dinner night. But it required me not to think, and I knew also then what I had to shop for. So it was I had all of these, and I still have so many productivity hacks to save me. When I would encounter something, I'd be like, okay, what can I do about this? And I would do it.
Amazing. That's such a good tip. I love that. You should share all your productivity hacks.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let me tell you, I have a book.
Oh, okay.
I do have a book, and I wrote it it's done really well. It became a bestseller. It's called Like a Mother, Birthing Businesses, Babies, and a Life Beyond Labels. And it's full of like my productivity hacks, my mom hacks, my business hacks, life hacks, all of that stuff. It's an easy read. It's great for women entrepreneurs. It's great for moms. It's great for entrepreneurs in general. So anyway, have a look. I'll send you a copy. It was a bit of fun. And I wrote it because it was kind of always on my to-do list to write a book. And then with the lockdown, I couldn't fly anywhere to speak at conferences. We couldn't go to the office. And I'm like, I'm home. If I don't do this now, well, when's it going to get done? And that's why we also saw such an influx of growth in women-started companies during that time period.
Amazing. And why not? Hey?
Yeah, everybody was like, I'm doing a side hustle.
Yeah. And good on them. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, Julie, and your insight and your book. I definitely have to read it because I need to learn more about these hacks that you're telling me about. And thanks for being so transparent about the challenges and even the not encountering challenges, like how parenthood came easily to you when it doesn't to everybody else. And I really wish it did come easily to more people.
And you know what? There's other things that I wish came easily to me that don't, So that's it. We all just have to kind of accept how we are and work with what we got. And that's it.
Brilliant.
Don't take it too seriously, right? I always say when life gives me lemons, I make a gin and tonic.
I love that. Yeah, forget lemonade. Go for adult lemonade.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me, Rea. And of course, if anybody wants to check out Mabel's Labels, go to mabelslabels.com. And all my information you can find at mabelslabels.com/Julie Cole. You can order my book. You can see where I am. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, and all the places.
Yes.
Easily found.
Yes. And we'll be sharing your information with this episode as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed the show. Why not become a podcast host yourself? LIBI is a community podcast, and we would love to have your voice as a host or a guest. Check out libi.ca for more information, show notes, and links to listen to every single episode we've done over the past 7 years.
This episode is brought to you by New Idea Machine, a unique blend of a tech incubator and a software development powerhouse. We're not just building software, we're crafting the next generation of homegrown tech wizards. Got a project in mind or looking to hire fresh talent? Reach out and let's make tech magic happen. Visit newideamachine.com for more info.
Music for the show was created by Tony Del Deegan.